Next, I want to ask this question to both of you all, right? So, what are the future trends in data privacy and security in the HR industry? What do you think are the future trends?
Okay. I think the most important would be the sensitizing process of the employers and employee, and that would actually be training. I think there are going to be a lot of training, and these trainings are not just going to be, uh, class or remote. It would be a more of a simulated training, right? So people would actually be exposed to the kind of breaches it happens if they're not following the security protocols. So I think that's going to be on rise, and that I see that training will become an indispensable part in the entire process. I also see that it would add a lot of responsibility, added responsibility, or to be more openly saying a burden on the HR department that's going to be there. So, because all the personal information, whether you keep it or you don't hire it, all the verification and in fact the sensitive information like HR and all are going to be on the shoulder of HR. So they need to be better cataloging. So I keep on emphasizing cataloging because I do not see that happening till date. I mean, it was not an obligation. Now it becomes an obligation. So I think there would be a rise in the software that would help in categorizing the HR data. So I think that two thing would be there. The third would be overall cyber checking your cybersecurity posture would again be on rise, both on the part of employer and employees. So employees also deal with a lot of client data. So employees have a trust relationship, and sometimes they just connect to VPN and open Wi-Fi, and then they don't realize what would be the repercussion. So I think the third important thing would be again sensitizing them on the cybersecurity postures. That I think that would be the three important trends that we are going to see.
Thank you. Jijy, would you like to add on to this?
Yeah, so what I feel is maybe the HR functions need to work a lot more closely with the tech and the security team to make sure that the systems are rightly protected, comply with all the processes and policies which that you have at the organization level, right? I will repeat this point. Up until we were more conscious of the security of customer data, and the employee data is also equally important with respect to this complying with this particular law. So I feel a lot more collaborated, sensitive, way of working will largely help comply. Two things which I wanted to re-emphasize again. One, the purpose for which you are collecting the information, we have to make sure that we use that information only for that purpose, right? So that is one important aspect. The second, when you take consent, there should be all the terms and conditions clearly articulated in the language that the user can understand. And then when an employee exits, right, it would also be prudent to take another consent, that whether the information can be preserved or not, right? If the employee does not give you the explicit permission to preserve the information, then it's always better to purge the information, because your accountability or responsibility level reduces, right? I mean, as many it's always better to keep minimum information, so that your liability gets minimized, right? So these are the two things I feel become very important. Of course, we also need to be conscious of the fact that people should not be misusing the law. Say if a disgruntled employee leaves the organization, we should not leave. Of course, we should not have a situation where employees not satisfied. I mean, we should keep everyone highly satisfied, but still there can be situations, right? And in that situation, this act should not be misused. So the organization should take all the preventive measures to make sure that the compliance is ensured, right?
Great points. And yeah, clearly we're not allowed, the data fiduciary is not allowed to misuse data henceforth. And if that happens, there's a new, board that has been established by this act, that is Data Protection Board. So if there's any complaint, we can take it up to them.